Monster Hunter Rise is finally here, and I thought it would be a good time to share some very early impressions after only playing for a couple of hours. There isn't really any kind of structure to this video, I'm just going to kind of list off some things that I liked and some things that I didn't like. The first thing I really have to talk about is how clunky the controls feel, especially after coming from Monster Hunter World. Moving the camera around felt so sluggish, but I will say after fighting a couple of monsters, I don't really notice it at all anymore, so if you're having that problem, I say just stick with it and you'll get used to it. One new change I noticed is how you find your target monster when starting a new quest. I remember when World first released and some people were complaining about the scout flies making the game too easy. I never really agreed with that, because you still had to find monster tracks and eventually you would find the monster. But now, in Monster Hunter Rise, as soon as you start the quest, the monster's already on the map and you can just run straight up to them. The game is called Monster Hunter. You're supposed to be a hunter and track your prey, but now they're just on the map and you can go straight to them. I have a love-hate relationship with the biggest new mechanic, the wire bugs. When I first saw them in trailers and gameplay, I thought there was no way it was going to work smoothly and work as intended. But oh my god, is it one of my favorite things to mess with in this game. Swinging like Spider-Man towards a mountain, running up the wall, and then wire zipping to the top of the mountain is one of the most amazing things to do in this game. On the other hand, using the wire bugs to perform special attacks is also fun and adds new ways to approach monsters, but this is also where the hate part of this relationship comes into play. After using these kinds of attacks and using regular jumping attacks enough times on a monster, you'll be able to use the wire bugs to mount them. My problem with this is once you're mounted, you can't just walk around like you normally would when you're controlling your character. Instead, you have to hold down a button to get them moving, and the whole experience from using them to attack other monsters or forcing them to ram into a wall felt awkward and too annoying to use often. But my biggest complaint about this is it also replaces the original way of mounting a monster and stabbing it until you bring it down for a chance to freely use your strongest attacks on it. I will admit though, if I practice this a little more and get used to it, I might change my opinion on this in the future. So if you're a hammer main like I am, there are some differences from Monster Hunter World. When you start a quest, there will be a little icon that shows an orange hammer. If you charge the hammer by holding ZR and then press A while still holding down ZR, you'll go into the hammer's powered up state, and that icon will turn blue. This is nothing new if you're coming from Monster Hunter World because it worked pretty much the same way. What is new though, is you can get attacked while in the powered up state and still stay powered up. You don't have to reactivate that every time you get hit anymore. You can manually remove this now by holding ZR and pressing A, but the cool thing about this is if you deactivate your powered up state, you'll instantly go into a level 3 charged Big Bang attack that pushes your character forward a little bit first. Another thing to note is that if you're going to do a wire attack with the hammer, the amount of damage will change depending on how long you've been charging the hammer first.
This is gonna hurt! You're my best pal.
Other than that, your goal as a hammer main remains the same. Bash these monsters' heads in until they're knocked out and then proceed to mercilessly break their bodies until they're dead or ready for capture. The last thing I want to touch on is how this is a much more cute Monster Hunter than Monster Hunter World. Everything from the song that plays when you order food to the rhyming introductions of each monster makes the gravity of the impending rampage feel almost insignificant compared to the overall tone of Monster Hunter World. But these are just my thoughts from the beginning of the game, and that could easily change as I progress through the story. As of right now, I would definitely recommend you pick this game up if you were a fan of Monster Hunter World. The gameplay is similar enough that you'll have an easy time transitioning over to this game. And there's also enough new features that this game feels like a brand new experience in the Monster Hunter series. Anyway, like I said, stay tuned for the full review that should be coming out soon.